viewers, and welcome to Progress TV International. And welcome to this special discussion where we will be discussing the aftermath of coup in Niger Republic. And then we'll be looking at the relationship between Niger and ECOWAS and its immediate neighbors. And I will be discussing this issue with Umar Farouk Ahmed. Umar, good morning and welcome.
Good morning.
Okay, as I said, following the coup in Niger Republic that toppled President Mohamed Bazoum, we can say that relationship between Niger and the ECOWAS and its immediate neighbors has totally changed. How do you look at the relationship of Niger and its neighbors, or ECOWAS in particular, before we go to the immediate neighbors?
Okay, thank you so much. You see, this particular coup has really changed the way ECOWAS views Niger and the way it's welcoming Niger. Well, first of all, like the ties between Niger now and the ECOWAS bloc is completely broken, except for the ongoing mediation talks for it to go back to civilian rule. When you talk about our relationships, like ECOWAS is meeting a lot of economic embargo on Niger. As we discussed yesterday, there's a no-fly zone between Niger and ECOWAS bloc, like for all commercial flights to and from Niger. So this means that the aviation sector is suffering severely because there will be no revenue stream to the aviation sector since there is no commercial flight to and from. And evidently there is no cargo flight also to and from Niger. So these are all on the economic side. And like they have no access to debt from ECOWAS, so they can't access any debt facility from ECOWAS, and Niger is really even their savings in ECOWAS central banks have all been frozen. They can't access their assets, and particularly that's the loans that they should have been able to access. Niger needs those loans for developmental projects. Most countries take loans for developmental projects, so like it's frozen now, and lack of those funds have made them to, even within the country right now, there's a withdrawal restriction of cash. You can't withdraw above 50,000 CFA. There's a cash limit withdrawal above 50,000 CFA. You can't withdraw that. So it's really suffering because of its relationship now with ECOWAS.
Okay, let's look at the relationship with its immediate neighbors, because during the protests after the coup, the protesters are chanting songs, some slogans, mocking some presidents in Africa, especially Nigeria's President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who is the chairman of the ECOWAS. Don't you think the coup plotters, by this, or the protesters, is creating enmity between let's say, brothers and sisters, between Nigerians and Nigerians?
Exactly. And when you look at those protests, you see the military junta is losing the grip on power. So they're just trying to like refurbish their image internationally to show people outside Niger that they still have the people's trust and love with them. But that's not really the case, because food price and everything is really expensive. So those rallies that they are doing, mocking ECOWAS presidents, ECOWAS state president, they could all be funded by the military junta, just to show ECOWAS that they still have the love of the people. Exactly, but you can't have the love of the people when you can't even pay your lecturers' salaries. You understand? So those rallies, of course, it will sever the ties between its immediate neighbors, which is Nigeria, and Niger. In fact, the tie is already broken since Nigeria cut power supply to them, and which has also endangered them a lot. You talk about power, you talk about your entire development. That's when you talk about power. So that those cutting off the power for them has really severed their the relationship between Nigeria and Niger. And if this drags on, Nigeria is going to be the biggest loser, because to share more than one border with Nigeria is a blessing. To share lots of borders and relations with Nigeria, a country which has the fastest growing economy in Africa, the giant of Africa, they stand to gain a lot when we are in good terms than when we are on bad terms.
So let's look at these trade issues. It's an age-long business between Nigeria and Niger, sharing at least borders with almost 6 states, I think, in with Nigeria. How do you think, or how do you look at the business between Nigerians and Nigeria? How is this affected?
Well, it's quite affected because the borders are shut, air borders, and there's no sea border, of course, between Nigeria and Niger, and also the land borders have also been blocked. So it's like Niger can't really export cash crops at the moment, and they can't get essential commodities taken to them through normal land border routes. Of course, there are people who try to bypass those routes, but it will come at a price, because even if they get those commodities, they will become very expensive to them. So it is translating into high cost of living. Basic commodities like rice, you have to queue up to buy rice, cooking oil, cooking gas. They are very expensive. Cooking gas is quite expensive too in Nigeria. That's around 1,000 naira per kilogram. So imagine if you have to take it with all the dangers to Niger, how much are you going to sell it to them? You understand? So that economic ties that has been broken is really telling on Niger negatively. In the past, like, people just walk across the border without any immigration or custom or any, like, there are communities that have maybe just a nylon or just what do you call it, a rope as just to demarcate the border. That's not really much of an international border. So imagine the free flow of goods that will come in when you just have a rope or a gutter to differentiate between Nigeria and Niger, and now you have all of that shut down. So it's really losing.
Well, don't you think the military junta, are they not taking all this thing you are saying into consideration? Let's at least open room for negotiation and a transition now to a democratically elected government, which our international community are giving the junta pressure to do. Let them look at the financial difficulties the citizens or the Nigerians are going through, and let's fast track this negotiation or restore democratically elected government.
Of course, they are well aware of it. That's why they are even supporting those rallies, to show that those rallies that's indicating that the people are in support of them. That's why the military junta are also supporting the rallies, and they think that they have a card to play here, because if you look at Burkina Faso is also currently under military junta, and the leaders now have a good relationship with Russia, which is an international community, and they also attend international summits in military regalia. You understand? Ibrahim Traore, he met with Russian president and he's been attending international meetings. So even though they've been expelled from ECOWAS, but they're now being accepted internationally. So the military junta might think that they have a card to play here. Maybe if they let it lie, for a long time, if they let it drag on, maybe we might all sheath our swords and say, okay, let us accept them, and then they might begin to get international backing. But the case is that for how long can Nigerians be patient enough with the economic hardship for Niger to be accepted by a chunk or a section of the international community, perhaps Russia or China or any other? So for how long can Nigerians be patient with this economic hardship? That's
if they are facing this hardship, Farouk, which ways do you think they will follow, at least to restore their country?
It will all come down to a civilian protest, like what happened in Sudan. Come down to civilian protest, and also even within the military camp, you can't say that all of them are behind Abdurrahman Chiani. Definitely, some persons might feel like, if Chiani can't put this country in order, I will have to take over. So some military personnel close to him, just like what they did to Bazoum, they felt that he couldn't keep the country in order, so they took over. Those military personnel will also feel that if this civilian protest drags on, what happened in Sudan, exactly what happened in Sudan when he called one of his allies to come and take care of the protest for him.
I think some few weeks back there were reports of even mutiny among the army. So it's their salaries and allowances are not being paid by the junta.
They've been cut off economically from the international world. So it's like an enclave. It's like an island now on its own, just an enclave. So if it results into a civilian protest, those military personnel, I feel like they've been sidelined, could use that opportunity to overthrow him. So that's what it's going to come down to.
So what is your advice finally to the Nigerians now?
Let the junta negotiate a deal with ECOWAS. For instance, we are going to go back to civilian rule, but maybe we need immunity. Just like what happened
sanctions
in Zimbabwe after Robert Mugabe was, calmly overthrown, and then his vice president was now appointed. I would say elected, appointed as president. Emerson Mnangagwa, if I get the name right. He said he was not going to prosecute Mugabe. So that was an excellent deal. So the junta just have to negotiate a deal, exactly, to negotiate a deal, so it doesn't come down to another, coup after coup. It doesn't result in a counter coup. So let's just negotiate a better deal. Let's say we're going to hand over to Bazoum again, but let's be giving exile in maybe a third world country. It
should be handed over to him, and then maybe part of the deal, the negotiation, that in the next few months we are organizing an election, exactly, for a newly elected civilian president.
Yeah, but even the better deal would be to give it back to Bazoum, because he was elected, and that's the
mandate
popular,
is still there.
Exactly, the mandate is still there, and that's the popular opinion. That's the popular opinion of Nigerians is.
And then if they are not satisfied with his rule, maybe they will react to his rule on the ballot.
Exactly.
Okay, viewers, I think that's much we can take on this discussion, where we've been discussing on the aftermath of coup in Niger Republic following the ouster of President Mohamed Bazoum by the military junta last July. Join us tomorrow for another side of the aftermath of the coup in Niger Republic. On behalf of Umar Farouk Ahmed, I am Umar Ahmad Abubakar saying thanks for being there.